Welcome to We Know Texas Vino, the podcast where we celebrate the people and the places and the passions behind Texas wine. I am your host, and today we're heading to Red River region to spotlight the place that's bringing community and Texas vino together, and that is Red River Wines and Provision. And I have Scott and Krista, or better known as KK, here on the show today. And in this episode, we're going to be talking more about just what's in the glass. We're going to explore the stories behind Red River Wines and Provisions and KK and Scott's decision to showcase their Texas-made wines. And so pour yourself a glass, get comfortable, because it's cold right now. By the time this airs, it's probably warm. And join us for another great episode of We Know Texas Vino here at the Red River Wines and Provisions. So welcome back, KK and Scott. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
Great. Thanks for coming back.
You know, we were just literally talking about this before we started the show, and it's been since episode 22, so everybody needs to go back and listen to that. That was what, June 18th? So that's 2023. It's been 2 years since I've been here. And I had the privilege to watch y'all grow in this whole time. Y'all have done some amazing things. In fact, even y'all are my mentors as well for my winemaking stuff. But so since we did that episode, because y'all weren't open at that time till now that you've opened, what have you learned and what have you experienced during that time?
Well, first we got a lot of wine in the bottles. We have a fantastic bottling volunteer crew, but getting a website organized, getting a POS system collected and gathered up, preparing to open the space we're sitting in today that used to be my tool shed. Scott, add this.
Yeah, Will, this is a journey. So we started that journey back in 2015. We were just reminiscing how, 10 years ago we bought this property, and it was just a tired old ranch, a quilter's retreat, and that journey we've been on for the last 10 years, and we're by no means done with the journey.
Right.
But we've experienced so much, we've accomplished so much that it's almost humbling as you look back over the last 10 years. But even in the last 2 years since we have seen you, just a lot has gone on. From finally getting our permit, opening the doors, and just had the privilege of just sitting down with just an incredible group of people, our customers who've come in. It's just been a really cool last year. Right. And for us, that was the biggest accomplishment, is just opening the doors and getting the public come in and start tasting our wines.
I remember the day that y'all opened up. I was so excited. And I'm like, dang it, I have to work this day.
You came the next day.
I came the next day, though. And I hear compliments about y'all's wines constantly. Everybody's like, oh, you have to go here and check them. Oh, yeah, I've been there. I've been there many times. I actually know the lady who actually runs the place. And they're like, really? She's such a nice lady. Scott's really, okay, well, he's also nice. But, I mean, the things that I hear from y'all about y'all's winery, from people who don't know anything about wines to the I won't say experts, but experts. Yeah. I mean, we're all experts at some levels, Everybody talks so much about y'all's wine, and I'm so proud of what y'all have done since the time I got to know y'all till now. And again, y'all have helped me out and guided me in my process. And sometimes, you're like, oh, I don't know that well, but
you're right.
You do it out of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, y'all have come so far, and y'all's vineyard has grown. I've seen things happening on the property. We'll talk here in a little bit about that. So, man, y'all have come a long ways.
Well, Will, we were, just talking, and one of sort of the genesis of our vision of what we wanted to become, like one of the really memorable times were we were out in Napa, visiting Napa, and we started in the morning at 11 in the morning at Honig. And they have an outdoor beer garden with 10, 15 different picnic tables. And we were sitting out there, and, we're sipping wine at 11:15 in the morning. And we started talking to people. Hey, how you doing? Where are you from? And they're like, oh, we're from Houston. Hey, where are you from? We're from Dallas. Hey, where are you from? San Antonio. And there were 10 separate groups at Honig, all from Texas. And the two of us looked at each other and said, hey, there's a ton of Texans who love wine, and they're flying all the way to Napa to experience it. What's really driving them is great wine.
Right.
And we knew that if we could make great wine, that we could get that traffic to come an hour north of the Metroplex.
Yeah.
That's been sort of our vision. Is it all starts with making great wine.
Right.
If you make great wine, people will find you in time.
Oh, yeah. And that's actually the segues right into the next part here. Experience is all what people want to look for. They want to come to a tasting room. They want to have an experience. And I know when I first came out here, I had an experience that I have not had at any other tasting room ever. You had curated meats and candy or chocolates and different stuff with the wine. And you said, this right here goes with this wine over here. And it was an experience that a lot of tasting rooms don't do. And I really enjoy that. And I push people out here that come into the tasting room where I work at. I tell everybody, y'all need to come out here because it's not just coming in here doing a tasting and they pour it and walk away. They curate, everything for your wine to make sure you have the great experience. So that is actually very important. And obviously going to Napa, and I know y'all talked about y'all's trip to Europe also, that has helped that. So explain a little bit more about those experiences.
Yeah.
Everything that we have visioned together is, I guess, amalgamation is the best word, or a collage of places we've traveled together and our favorite experiences that we said, hey, down the road, this is going to be part of what we do.
Right.
So the curated pairings that you just mentioned really got started 20 years ago on my 40th birthday when we were in Napa, a different time, and we were guided through the tasting of all the wines, pretending that the plate is a clock, and he took us all around the plate with the different wines and kept pouring. He finished it with a blind tasting, which we haven't done yet, but we are going to do. And like you said, when we went to Europe, we've been to the Champagne region, we've been to Bordeaux, we've been to Tuscany and Chianti, and we've been to Rioja in Spain. And the people, the culture, the food, all combined with the wine were something that we said, we want all of that to live in this space.
Right.
And it to be slow on purpose. The experience, not rushed.
Right.
Not like you said, pour the wine and check on you in 5 minutes and see if you're ready for your next one and not have a conversation.
But, if you think about the experience you're trying to cultivate, a lot of it revolves around education. And each visit's a little bit different. Right. And, what we want to do is be able to help educate the wine consumer about wines. Right. And, sometimes we'll go down a path talking about how wine is made. We'll talk about how grapes are grown, or we may talk about how blends are blended. But the idea is to help them understand. And I just remember on Mother's Day, we had 2 ladies come in. Their husbands were outside taking care of the kids. And, they started off right away like, oh, we don't know a whole lot about wines. And I never taste anything in wine. And I was like, wait a minute. You are tasting, you just don't know what you're tasting.
Don't know how to describe it.
Yep. And so what I did was we have a, what's that called?
The aroma wheel.
The aroma wheel.
Dr. Ann Noble.
Okay.
Yeah. Pulled out the aroma wheel and said, this will help you understand when you smell something fruity, then what could it be? Could it be strawberry, apple, cherry? And citrus. Over time, you taste it. You just don't know what you're tasting because you haven't spent time trying to hone in on what it is. Yep. So, like, a lot of what we're trying to do is one-on-one with the people who are coming in to visit us, just help educate them about wine. So, like you said, Will, we do get experts. Like we got some people that are truly, and I think they would be proud of this. They're wine geeks. Right. They love wine. They love Texas wine.
I actually love the word wine geeks. I'd rather say that.
So we love the wine geeks. We love talking about pH and bricks and things and oak and char. And then the complete opposite side of that is someone who doesn't know a whole lot about wine. Oftentimes we hear, well, I drink whiskey and beer. Absolutely. but let's help you understand what's unique about wine.
And that's one of my favorite things to do in the tasting room I work at is I love giving education. Even if it's 5 minutes of just talking about, because, a lot of people come in and say, well, I like a really heavy dry wine. Okay, define dry for you. And they will say, oh, I like that feeling in the back of your throat and stuff. And I'm like, well, so let me teach you a little something. The word dry in wine doesn't mean dry in your throat. It means dry means no sugar.
Yep.
And they look at me and are like, seriously? It's like, yeah, seriously. That's what it means. There's no sugar. And they're like, oh, okay. And I said, well, then that feeling that you're feeling in the back of your throat is a tannic feeling. If you say you want a heavy tannic, it's going to dry you out or do what's called a chewy wine. You have to chew your way through it. And they're like, I did not know that. And even if it's just a 5-minute little lesson like that, people eat it up. And they're like, oh, I know more now than I did when I first walked in here.
I completely agree. And what gets me, or what gets under my skin is I talk to people and they buy thousands of dollars of wine from Napa cabs.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with a Napa cab, but I just want to, just help them understand there's 10,000 grapes in this world and then when you blend those 10,000 together, there's millions of blending combinations. And say, why are you spending all this time drinking one grape varietal from one region in the whole world when there's an infinite variety out there? And just helping them understand that, hey, guess what? A Texas Tempranillo can rival any Napa Cab
100%.
If it's made properly.
Right.
And just helping them understand and appreciate the nuances of and open the world to say, wow, the beauty of it, you can live till you're 100 years old and never run out of new places to explore, new bottles to explore, new varieties to explore.
My favorite word to tell people when they come into the tasting room, they'll come in like, well, I like wine. And I'm like, okay, what is your teddy bear? And they look at me like, what do you mean by teddy bear? I was like, what is your go-to wine? What is the one that you always go to? And of course, the first word out of everybody's mouth is either Cabernet Sauvignon or Pinot Grigio. Yep. Those are always the first two, or maybe a third one, Chardonnay.
Yeah,
those are usually always the first three that comes out of their mouth. And I said, well, you know what? You're in a tasting room, but I have a whole bunch of different stuff here on the counter that I guarantee you probably never drank before because you call those three out. And I said, I'm going to pour you something. I'm not even going to tell you what it is, and I want you to drink and you tell me what you think. And I will pour them like a Tempranillo, or I'll pour them a Bordeaux style blend, or I'll pour them something they've never had before. And they look at me like, this is freaking good. I said, when you go into a tasting room, don't go in and drinking your teddy bear. It sounded weird.
We know what you mean.
Don't go in and drink the same wine that you have every day because your life becomes boring. Drink something new that's exciting, and you may find something new. You may not find it at the shelf, which I have found out that you cannot find Picpoul Blanc at Total Wine or Specs or anything like that. It's always a blend of Picpoul Blanc, by the way. So, but some of the stuff they can't find in the stores, you can find locally in Texas wineries and try it because you may find you something new that you've never had before.
Yep, and it's our belief that what separates wine from like other beverages or even like having a CBD is in that bottle is an experience. And there's so many times where we'll have people who will sit down and have that bottle of Picpoul Blanc and learn how it's made and then do it with friends and have a great time. And that Picpoul Blanc for the next 10 years will represent that great time they had with friends and friendships and bring back memories. We still have friends that after we've gone to different regions with them and we're having a bottle, we'll text them and say, hey, we're having a bottle of X. And because, it brings back great memories of when we were with them.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the most exciting things I love about Texas, because anytime I hear a new winery, like, oh, we're doing this XYZ grape that no one else in the state are doing, I'm like, oh, I want to try this.
Yes.
Or, and I'm going to use this as an example, like one of my trips, one of my bigger trips to the Hill Country one time, I got introduced to Curated National. Never heard that before. And it seemed like every winery that I went to had that and had a different variation of it. And so I bought a bottle of it all. And we sat one day and we opened all 4 of those bottles and tried, and you could taste difference in each one of those. And it's just so amazing. I think it's an Italian varietal.
Yeah.
Touriga National, so good.
It is very good.
It's so good. But I tell people, experience something new because you may miss out.
But you bring up a point about experiences, and I don't think like people of Texas appreciate how diverse Texas is And whether you're out in Longview visiting Enoch Stop or you're in El Paso, there's a lot of acreage in between there. And there's so many adventures. I know what got us into Texas wine is when we moved here in 2006, we started visiting vineyards. We visited about 125 different vineyards across the state. And we still talk about some of these crazy experiences we had in these, small niches in Texas, and being able to sit down with the owners and just talk to them about, what went into this bottle? How did they make it? And that sort of drives our tasting experience, is just having that one-on-one dialogue and just letting people know the story that's in that bottle, not just what the wine is.
Yep. And that's probably one of my favorite sayings that I've came up with. So ChatGPT is really great for information. And one of them was like, when you drink Texas wine, you're not just drinking grapes, you're drinking history.
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, I'm going to put that on the t-shirt. Copyright, well done. We know Texas Vino.
There you go. But it is true. Like, people don't know that we were making wine before California when the explorers came up from the Gulf of Mexico. And they were from, Portugal. And they brought their grapes up, and that was back in the 1500s.
Yep. But Texas was a cattle state, so no one wanted to do grapes.
Yep.
So that's why grapes never took off here.
And Prohibition.
Yeah, Prohibition.
Yeah, because we were actually making more wine before Prohibition than California. People don't realize that. Then Prohibition came, and we were set back.
Yep. That kicked us in the teeth really hard. Yep. Yeah. So, we can sit and talk about experiences all day long. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about going to a tasting room is experience. And that's what you remember about a tasting room. And again, that's why I remember y'all tasting all the time, and I brag about it all the time. So I know that this is what y'all's third year open now? Second year?
We've been open for 13 months.
Seriously?
12 and a half.
12 and a half months.
So a year.
A year.
Wow, it seems like a lot longer than that.
You're visiting almost like 1 year and 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought it's been a lot longer than that. Holy cow. Or am I aging too fast?
No, you're not.
Like in dog years.
So since y'all opened up, I know kind of everything when we're in a new place, you're trying to get your word out about it. How has the visitors coming in? I mean, has it trickled out? Like, you turn the faucet on really wide and you get a drip.
We have had a very steady, consistent pace of visitors. We've had some slow weekends, but we'll compare notes with our friends that also have tasting rooms. And when they're having a slow weekend, it's just typically people have other things to do on the slow weekends. But we have had over 400 people around this table.
Really?
In that 12-month period.
Nice.
Which is awesome. That doesn't count any special events that we have hosted. That doesn't count going to festivals that we've participated in so far. And every set of visitors is different, which is so fun. And almost all those visitors have been with both of us, one or the other of us, and then except for 2 weekends when they've been with the wino guy here.
Oh, okay. And with that being said, all the people in your community right here locally, how have they been taking it? You've been seeing more of them coming in?
We've been seeing a lot. I have a woman came here for a little birthday event for her 85th birthday, and she wrote me a note afterwards saying, "You've put Sadler on the map." And she is a Texan before Texas was Texas. That's how her family lineage sits around here.
Okay.
And that was quite a compliment
from
her. And Sadler is a small community. But I just love the opportunities that we've had for such a diverse amount of visitors, like Scott said, some that really know their wine and some that walk in the door like, we don't know anything. Help us.
Yeah, you know what is cool, when we, back 3-4 years ago when we were looking to open up, we thought a lot of our customers would come from the Metroplex. And a fair amount do come from the Metroplex, don't get me wrong. But what we didn't appreciate is the immediate area, how much they have embraced the whole concept. Like, just up and down the road, just the friends, the support that we've gotten from our neighbors. who've come out, helped us harvest, helped us cover grapes when it's gotten cold. Just incredible amount of support that we've had just from our neighbors. Then like just 10, 15 miles away, we just have an incredible community from like Rock Creek, who are just coming in and really sort of adopted us. So it's been cool just getting the people just in the immediate area coming in. So that's been, we didn't think that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Really awesome.
So, all right, of all the people that have come in here, so do you have a memorable one that every time you think of the people that come in here, the one person that you think of every time? And it can't be your regular like worker bees. It has to be some visitor that come in here and drink wine.
So, Will, does that mean we can't count you and your step parents? That doesn't, because that was a memorable visit.
I mean, it's always
very memorable.
Every time I come in, it's always memorable. I mean, that's just plain and simple. But I mean, you have your regulars that come in, and you remember your regulars, and then you got that one visitor that may come in one time, you'll never see them again. Do you remember that person? Or and to add to that, what's the furthest away person that just came in here? Like what country? I could tell you. I'll tell you one right now. From working in the taste room, I had a guy that I'll never see him again. He was from Ireland, and he hated French wine. He literally said, and I'm gonna quote him. He goes, "French wine are shite." And he was in town in Grapevine for 3 days, and all 3 days I saw him into the tasting room. All 3 days, and he drank and he loved Texas wines. He thought Texas wine was much better than French wine.
I'm thrilled.
So
that's great.
Again, that was a memorable thing. I'll never see him again, and he was from a different country.
We have had a visitor from Sonoma Valley that is a member of our wine club.
Okay.
Which was a delight to have an individual from California join our club. And we've had visitors from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And they do live in the Metroplex, but they do spend part of their time in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think where else from far regions, but we've had visitors from Iowa that because they know our families have come in here for that reason. I've had classmates from high school from Urbandale, Iowa.
Wow.
Go out of their way to come here on their way to Galveston, to go out on a cruise.
Will,
that kind of thing.
One of the things that has stuck out to me may not be like one particular person, though you and your family would definitely sticks out to that. But
the snake story.
What really jumps out at me is just the incredible diversity and just how cool, just like really cool individuals that we've just been able to sit down and spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with. Like, that's what really sticks out to me. There's just so many sit down and just spend time with them, and we get to learn about them as much as they're learning about us. And, we've never had a discussion about killing snakes.
No.
Like the one we had with your family.
I'm trying
but there's so
An
many.
office building that there was some mystery snake in a closet. We spent a lot of time on that.
I guess that's a story I have not heard.
You were sitting right there.
But there's been so many just cool discussions and stories that we've learned about people, and just people who have been all over the world tasting wine. Right. And then we get them here and just open their eyes to the potential in Texas.
And I just thought of one very special visit. The gentleman who delivers for us for UPS, he is recently married to a woman who immigrated very correctly from Venezuela, and he proposed to her in our vineyard that summer.
There you go.
And brought their little girl and asked both of them for their hand.
That's awesome.
And proposed, and so we were hiding, watching, waiting for the yes, and then we had a little celebration for them outside on the vineyard patio, and it was really lovely.
That's awesome.
Delighted that he asked to do that here.
That's awesome.
But it is cool, We've been blessed to have been visited by some just really within the Texas wine industry, just some really just prominent, cool people. And like that is really just neat that we've been able to just spend some time with them. And I know just recently we had a visit from someone, Krista, who just from a legacy perspective, and just being able to
Jim Johnson and his wife Karen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Really? Someone
El Guapo
who
is his famous Tempranillo in Texas.
Oh, really?
Alamosa Cellars.
Yeah, just someone who has had just a big,
he's had a huge impact
on the Texas wine industry, and just be able to sit down with him
Major pioneer.
and talk about, the industry in the 70s and how they were getting going and how Texas has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And we've come so far in such a short amount of time. But it was cool to be able to share our Tempranillo with him.
Grown right here in Texoma, and he grew up in Texoma. He's a Sherman High School graduate.
Oh.
He was at, I think, like his 60th high school class reunion. And he called and said, I'm here. I want to come and see what's going on with a grower and a winemaker in Texoma. Because over the years of his and Karen following us, he was like, I would have never dreamed that there could be good wine produced in Texoma.
Interesting.
And he came and tasted all through the wines, and he is UC Davis trained and worked at some very prestigious places in California before opening his winery. And I was thrilled.
Wow.
Absolutely thrilled.
Well, you bring up a really good name right there. Let's talk about James Suckling for just a few moments.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's.
That right there, him coming to Texas, and he's been posting a lot of articles about Texas, and he went down to the hill country and drank wine down there, and they're like, this is some good, actually it was Abastris.
Yes.
Which, if you have not been there, he went to Calais. I didn't know he went to Ben Calais.
Ben Calais got a wine on number 34 on the Suckling Top 100.
Really?
Just fantastic. Our congratulations out to Benjamin Calais. That's amazing.
And, that is awesome because now Texas is starting to really get on the map. When you get on James Suckling's list,
right?
You're now on the list.
Well, and the fact that he thought enough of what's going on here and the intentionality of how the wines are being crafted in Texas to send his team here twice.
Wow.
2 years in a row, he's had teams tasting through highly rated Texas wines and rating them right in there with what other judges internationally at some of our competitions have discovered.
Nice.
The fact that he would send his team is wonderful.
That is awesome.
Yes, I'm glad you brought it up.
Everybody here at this table and all across Texas, we all try to do our part to help push and promote Texas agriculture, Texas wines, and Texas vineyards. And, when you start getting big name people who are recognized in the community globally to start showing up, now we're making traction. Yep. We're making a name.
Agreed.
And now all the hard work and all of our due diligence and what's the other word I'm looking for? I'm trying to use big words now.
Big words.
But we're finally getting that traction that we want. We are now getting into spotlights where people are like, oh, Texas doesn't make wine. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, what's fascinating is, most people from an agricultural perspective think of cotton is the Texas crop. Well, cotton's about a $4 billion industry in Texas. That's really great. That's really impressive. But what happens to cotton after it's harvested?
Nothing.
It gets shipped to China to be turned into clothing.
Right.
And not saying all of it goes to China, but a big portion of it gets shipped to China. But wine gets grown here. And when it's being grown here, we're paying taxes on the land. We're hiring people to support it. Then we process it, turn it into wine here, and then that wine gets sold in Texas.
Yep.
So that ecosystem is a $21 billion industry in Texas. So we're 5 times bigger than the cotton industry because everything that we grow here gets consumed here and gets produced here. So we're paying taxes on it. We're supporting jobs. And we're supporting people. And we're being able to just bring people together, one-on-one. But it's it's greatly overlooked. But we're a $21 billion industry right now.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I'll be anxious to see when the new numbers are
Yeah.
released here shortly.
Yeah.
How we're doing.
Yeah, I think well, let's just say this: wine across the board globally has gone down quite a bit.
You're right.
But I still think that even though globally has gone down, I still think it'll tick up a little bit. I'm not going to say it's
But
going.
while globally it's gone down, Texas continues to go up.
We're steadily going up.
Yep, that was the next point I was fixing. We were still going up. So
Yeah, because those 10 parties that I referenced at the start of this that were out in Honig, in Napa, they're starting to realize, hey, I don't have to go and spend $10,000 in Napa to be able to have a cool experience and drink great wines. I can do it here in Texas.
That's it's funny you say that. People are like, oh, I go to Napa every year and I go drink wine. I was like, why do you spend the money to fly out there, get a hotel room, and then you go to these very expensive tasting rooms, and then you have to ship the wine back, and that costs you to do that. Why don't you just drive 45 minutes, hour and a half north, and you can visit 11 wineries?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Well, maybe not 11 in a weekend, but you could at least visit 9 in a weekend, or depends on how good of a drinker you are, too. But at
How
least,
much you want to hustle.
yeah, but you can come up here and you can be back in your bed by the end of the day. You can bring the wine home and you don't have to worry about shipping it. And you get to have Texas-supported wines.
Yep.
And they're good wines.
And they're good wines.
But the thing about it is, we still got a long ways to go in Texas in building the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
We were just at an event at a restaurant where we were serving our wines down in Frisco. And the phrase I heard most was, oh, this wine is great. I never knew Texas made wine. And we heard that. It wasn't like hearing it once.
Mm-hmm.
We heard it multiple times. And just opened my eyes to how far we have to go to just build the awareness just locally. That, guess what? You don't have to go to Napa. You don't have to go to France. You can get great wines very close by.
One of my favorite things to hear people say when they come into the taste room, they'll come in like, so what part of California are these grapes from? And I'm like, and this is after they've already been drinking. They've already started doing their tasting. And I'm like, well, these grapes aren't from California. These are Texas grapes. And they look at me like I've lost my mind. They said, Texas doesn't make great wine. And I said, well, you've been drinking it and you really enjoyed it. So obviously Texas is.
Yeah. That's right.
and then they stop and think about it. And then, of course, we have a big Texas map of the AVAs. Yep. And it's kind of funny. Have you ever not looked at that map before?
It's right over your shoulder.
It's right over the shoulder.
Oh. Okay. The one that's in our taste room is bigger.
Sure. Well, you have more space.
Oh, okay. So I don't have cameras this time. Sorry, folks. But if you actually look at this is actually, and it's sad that there's no more AVAs than what we have on here right now.
But they're being worked on.
They're being worked on. Yes. Because like East Texas, you can actually look at East Texas and see where all the dots are. And that's where grapes are growing. Yep. Not just where there's a tasting room, but there's vineyards there. And then when you go like northwest of Houston, you got that big clump down there. Yep. I think all that should be an AVA eventually. Hopefully one day they'll get it done. But of course, I've shown people this and they're like, I didn't know Texas could do that. I said, well, if you actually look, you can go up to the high plains and you get sandy, long distance soil where you can see your dog for 5 days running away. Then you come over to North Texas and you get your sandy loam top soil. And then you go over to East Texas and you get your very high humid soil, but some parts of it are not like that. And then you work your way down to the Houston area and you get that high humidity also down there. But then you go to the hill country and you get your rocky region with different types of limestone and granite and all kinds of stuff. I said, we have just about every type of soil that, oh, wait a minute, you're past too. And they stop and think about it and they're like, oh, you do? I said, yeah, it's just amazing what we can do here in Texas.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And I love all the hard work that the Hill Country has put in to bring the attention and awareness to quality Texas wine. And it's exciting that some of the attention is coming to North Texas now for quality Texas wine.
Yep.
I'm very, very excited about that.
Yep.
But I want to do my part to bring more attention.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I tell everybody, and I'm not bashing the hill country because I love the hill country too. People say, well, we love going down to the hill country. And I said, well, how often do you go down there? And they say, oh, we go 3 or 4 times a year. It's like, well, what if you just went an hour and a half, 45 minutes, hour and a half north and drink wine, been back in your bed, you don't pay for a hotel or anything like that. And like, oh, I didn't know there were any wineries in North Texas.
Yeah.
And then I actually break out the Texas Wine Lover app thing and I show it to them.
Good.
Sponsor placement.
We, as an association, had the opportunity to pour wine at the state fair every day.
Yeah.
This year at the state fair, so it was called the Wine Hour in the Go Texan Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
So those of us in North Texas that are members of Go Texan got to sign up for
Nice.
our hour, and I enjoyed our hour thoroughly, and they even let us pour a little bit longer than that. But the major comment as people were passing through was, "Where are you? We didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Here you are north of the Metroplex. How many wineries are up there?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, "Well, we have 46 members in our association." "You have 46 members." And I had the maps.
Yep.
And I refer them to the Wine Lover app. I'm like, you can plan a lot of really fun
Yep.
trips in and out of your location in Dallas or Fort Worth
Yep.
to
Sure
make
can.
visits and enjoy wines.
Yep.
So that continues to be a prominent comment
Mm-hmm.
that comes across to either Scott or myself is when we see the nice look of appreciation on their face,
Yep.
enjoying our wine and figuring out how close we really could be
Mhm.
to them.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yep.
thing.
Well, let's shift a little bit of gears here.
Okay. go
Let's
for it.
let's talk about your wines and your vineyard and how y'all have evolved.
Yeah.
Because y'all have come a long ways, and every time I talk to you, you've got some new blend you're coming up
You're
with,
right.
and I'm like, wow, she's running out of space.
That is so true.
What's the famous word that everybody says? Oh, this is enough space here.
it's never enough space.
Never enough.
And I can't count on both hands the number of winemaker friends that we have spoken to over the years that have told us no matter what we prepare, it won't be big enough,
Mm-hmm.
and that we'll constantly be outgrowing it. And it's been proven
Mhm.
for sure. And then I would point also to our friend Grayson Davies
Mhm.
at RK, who in a conversation said, "You've always got to try something different every year as the winemaker to keep yourself
Mhm.
intrigued by the nuances and the things that you can do to make each vintage unique and something that you're proud of."
Right.
So I do attempt that with my blends.
Nice.
I think it'll look at the way Krista's evolving as a winemaker. Me being able to watch her growth has just been, just astounding for me as how much she's grown just in her knowledge. But, going from that single varietal into the blend, and sometimes a blend of like 2% can make a huge difference in
Uh-huh.
wine. So I think part of the evolution is seeing more and more blends on our tasting list. It's important, and we realize we don't manipulate our wines through using chemicals and additives.
Right.
That's not the old world way that we want to follow. We can manipulate our wines through our farming practices and through the way we blend. So sometimes it's just 1-2% of something to bring out a characteristic that we're looking
Yep.
for. We're also, Krista's really been playing with oaks and how
Ooh.
oak can impact. And
It's really fun.
our 23, we're really excited to be taking French oak and American oak and using the same Tempranillo that's won awards, that's been phenomenal, and using different oaks to try to enhance the flavor a little bit different. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in our discussion,
Yes.
but we're excited to see how that and how using different oaks can help us evolve the wines. So, there's just, and then just think about, Krista, the Clarete that you have developed.
Right.
That was, just out of need. We sold out of our rosé, and we wanted a rosé blush style wine. So how can we create something like that? And Krista created this really innovative, and the marketplace has just been raving about the Clarete. But the Clarete is just a great example of, when you have a need, you can just go out there and go out to, and we didn't invent this. This was invented in Rioja, Spain. but learning sort of an old world way to produce a rosé without using the traditional methods was just really cool.
And I think a lot of y'all, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember this vaguely, that a lot of y'all's influences on your wines all come from Rioja.
They do.
Okay.
You're right.
All right.
You remember correctly. Yes. In 2017, we spent over 2 weeks in Rioja at the advice of Les Constable, God rest his soul. And it changed our perspective and our pace.
Okay.
We slowed down and we became a lot more intentional and did more things on purpose in the old world spirit of winemaking after coming back from Rioja.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
Because that would explain a lot of the reasons why the flavors y'all have.
Yes, and the growing choices of plants and vines that have gone into the vineyard since returning. Not everything is a Spanish variety out there, but the majority are driven by the Spanish influence.
What do you have planted out there right now?
So we have 8 varieties.
Okay.
The main one, of course, being Tempranillo. But in addition to the Tempranillo, on the reds we have Merlot, Syrah, Garnacha, and Graciano.
Okay.
And our reds are Viura, which people may know as Macabeo,
Okay.
Picpoul Blanc, and Roussanne.
Oh. Now, the other one, what was the first white one you said?
Viura.
I've never had that.
You would love it.
I may
Rioja,
have
they
to have
produce
7 or 8
their-
bottles.
Yes. They produce their dry white in Rioja using Viura.
Really?
And in France and in the northern part of Spain, up near Barcelona, in the Cava region, Macabeo is the name of the grape, and it can be part of the base of sparkling Cava Spanish wine, fermented to dry. But we fell in love with it in Rioja.
Interesting.
And,
okay.
When we came back, I went to the different nurseries that come to the trade shows when we go to conference. And the Sunridge Nursery out in California has what's called an Iberian grape collection. And within this Iberian collection is the Planzel. And Planzel is a famous horticulturist, viticulturist out of Portugal.
Okay.
And they have the exclusive right to sell his varieties. And the Viura Macabeo is one of those.
Nice.
Yes.
So are you one of the only wineries in Texas that's doing that?
I believe that we are. Now, I do think a couple people in the hill country are getting ready to put some in.
Okay.
And I won't reveal who that is in case they would rather do that themselves. But there's a couple of growers in Lodi that have it, and I know a couple of growers in the Paso Robles region that have it too.
Interesting.
But one of the things that we feel, very blessed with, we got a very sort of innovative community that we're working with here in North Texas. You got winemakers, like RK, Blue Ostrich, Lonesome Vine, and then, moving over a little bit farther east, we got Edge of the Lake, 555. We just got a lot of Eden Hill. We just got a lot of just innovative winemakers that are trying different things and just trying to continue to push the quality bar up. And whether it is how we make the wine, what grapes we're using to make the wine, we're all feel like we're all trying to push each other. And the really cool thing is, it's not like we're trying to do this in a vacuum. We're doing it together. And, somebody finds something that's working, then boom, we start to share it out. And we're all working together to try to raise the collective bar in this area. And I do believe that that sort of that innovation in the marketplace is reflecting in some just high quality wines in the area.
Nice. And that's always exciting to hear somebody trying something new in Texas. And especially when you're one of the few wineries, vineyards, sorry, let me say that word, vineyards in the United States doing that. It's always awesome.
Yeah.
Because that means we're always evolving. Always evolving. So, of all the people that's come in here, what have they all said about your wines? I mean, obviously, we kind of hit that a little bit, didn't we already? I think that was one of the topics.
Yeah, no, but, I think one of the things that sort of jumps out is, first of all, people are always surprised in the quality of the wines.
Yeah.
And we hear this multiple times, like, I can't believe that this is grown here and made here. And, we're really proud of the fact that, we are locally sourced with our grapes.
Mm-hmm.
We are locally made. Literally when you walk in, that's where we make the wines.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that we really hear.
Yes.
Is just, how surprised they are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we make no secret that we only produce dry wine.
Mm-hmm.
We don't produce any sweet wines. And that may be contrary to some of the early advice and counsel that was given to us, but we are not fans of sweet wine. So we make no secret of that.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite recurring comment, I guess I'll say, is when people come in, we go through the current releases, and I'm very proud to tell you that at the conclusion of the tasting, I've lost track of the number of times where our guests will say, there isn't anything on this list that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a great compliment.
Yep.
And I love that. I want that to continue.
Well,
And it doesn't happen every time.
But I think the other thing we hear a lot of is how much they learned. And we want to make our tastings, educational. And there's not like one thing, but, some people we want to, walk them through the history of, of the Texas wine industry. Others, how it's made. We have, interactive slides that we show people like, how is it made? But we want to make it educational because we believe the smarter the consumer is, the more they will value what goes into that bottle with all blood, sweat, and tears that is going into it.
Well, and one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because and when I started learning about wine, I found one of the biggest things about the wine community that's out there is, and I hate to say this, but it's factual. I've done some research on it. California has made wine snobbery and pretentious. That if you didn't know anything about wine, people who didn't want to pour it,
Yeah.
But I would rather you not know anything about wine and let me teach you about it and share it with you, because then you'll know more about it and you'll be more appreciative of it. You got a little thought there.
I have a funny story for you when you're finished with your comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, when we first moved up here and got started, and different neighbors would drive by like, what are you guys doing? We're planting a vineyard. We're going to make wine. Oh, cool. One of our neighbors came by one afternoon when we were both out there working in the vineyard, and he said, KK, I want to learn about wine, but I'm not wearing a suit to come learn about it. And I said, Tony, you do not have to wear a suit. I'm like, I'll go inside right now, all grubby as I am from the vineyard, and I'll teach you about wine. I'll pour you some wine. And he and his buddy were on their way golfing, but he's like, okay, another day, I'm going to come back, in his coveralls or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, if you promise I don't have to get dressed up to try wine, I'll do it.
Yesterday, we had a couple who stopped in after spending all afternoon clearing brush along the fence line.
Yes.
And we have a wine club member who routinely stops in. What he does is he goes around and specs oil wells in the area. He's responsible for a set of wells, and he'll routinely stop in after working on the well.
Well, there you go.
He has a dog. He comes by.
Yep.
Yeah, but and that's what we need to do, is strive to make wine where it's more approachable to people. And
Not
I think
mysterious.
yes, and I think that with our younger generation not wanting to drink as much wine as the I'm not going to say the more sophisticated generation, but they don't understand wine. And they
Intimidates them.
It intimidates them. So they drink the sweet wine, or in my case, and I've seen this in other people, someone gave them a really heavy, bold Bordeaux blend or Merlot, and they didn't like that taste in their mouth, and so they went right over to the sweet wines, and that's where they stuck, because no one took the time out of their day to just kind of teach them a little bit. And and I don't know if I actually told you my process of teaching people how to understand wine, but I teach them about the smell, and then I make them do a small little tiny sip, which I like to call that blossoming the palate. And then I have them, when they do that, make them think, what did I just taste compared to the smell? And then I have them take a bigger sip. And then at that point, after that last sip, say immediately the first thing that comes to your mind. And when you do that, that wine becomes what you just said. So if you tasted, honeysuckle or kiwi or asphalt or sand or dirt, that's what that became for you. Whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, or even a memory. But try that. And I've had a really good success of people who drink sweet wines do that. And they said, no one has ever taught me to do it this way. And I said, this is the best way to learn your palate. And I said, don't go tomorrow and buy your Merlot and drink it. Now you've been drinking, Pinot Noir because it's a lighter red. Work your way up. Get your palate trained, get your mouth trained, because I promise you, I didn't drink. In fact, even when I started drinking wines, I hated the heavy tannic wines, like a Tannat. I would not drink a Tannat because it was so tannic. Now I actually enjoy a good Tannat.
Sure.
But I've been doing this now for 6 years.
Right.
And I tell them, I said, you're not going to pick up one day. You didn't learn how to run. You had to crawl first, and then you had to walk.
Well, if I, just speaking from my own experience, I have enjoyed wine for a long time in my life, but it was usually associated with close friends of my family. It was not associated with me going out with my girlfriends or going out on a date early on in my life, in my 20s. Wine wasn't involved in that. Cocktails and beer were involved with that.
Yep.
It wasn't until, I became a professional business person that a little bit more interesting events and socializing in a business sense became part of my MO, where wine was going to be important.
Right.
And the company that I worked for in Chicago was a real estate company. There was another company that was hosting an 8-week series of learn about wine, so you can learn about entertaining your clients or what to order off a wine list when you go out with your clients.
Yep.
And this was in my late 20s, early 30s. So then I really started getting into what am I smelling, what am I tasting, what am I seeing, and why those factors are important.
Well, while we're talking about this whole education thing also, because this is a great topic, and this is how you and I actually met, sort of, partly. But you give back to the community also. You give back to the Grayson Community College for the viticulture and enology class. I know I've come out here many times with them when I was going there. And then I know there's a lot of classes that are there now that are coming out here. And you're giving back with your experience and your knowledge of not only wine tasting, but also grape growing and winemaking and stuff. And they're coming out here and learning and actually getting hands-on. And I have to say that I appreciate you doing that, because that is like, for me as a learner, I have to learn by doing it by hand. I can't do a textbook thing. In fact, actually, you've even been my mentor. Both of y'all been my mentor, and gave my first grapes and thought I messed everything up, but actually it was okay. And, just kind of freaking things out. But you know what? That's a great thing. It's an awesome thing. Yeah. And I love and thank you for doing that so much, because that's what we need.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for acknowledging that. When we first moved up here, we didn't have anyone to really locally, like within 30 minutes, to really get super duper good information. At first we started calling Clark Hornbaker at Eden Hill, and he was marvelous at giving information. And then with winemaking came Chris, and then with winemaking came Grayson Davies and Patrick Whitehead out at Blue Ostrich. And also now I go and see Chris McIntosh a few times.
And Benjamin's been really helpful.
Benjamin is just like a text away. Benjamin Calais. I mean, the list could go on, but we've now become a little resource for new growers that are coming in here, particularly growers. Like, hey, we want to plant a vineyard around here. What advice can you give us? And we have an extensive collection of lessons learned, and we wouldn't repeat this again, or we would recommend you not overlook this step. Just different things. And I can do the same now for the winemaking as our batches have gotten bigger, and we've repeated the process of several styles of wine. None of them will ever taste the same, and our goal is for them never to taste the same. But the practice and the implementation of everything that we've learned, combined with what we got at Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of facts over there to get you started and get you in trouble.
Right.
And then you have to really continue learning. I probably said this on the last podcast with you, but there's going to be a shirt someday that says "You don't know what you don't know" and our logo on it, because we're constantly being reminded about what we don't know.
Yep.
And where the next learning is coming from, because it's going to continue for as long as we're here.
Yep. And I know personally myself, have going on my third vintage of making wine right now. Every time I get a new stuff, I'm like, I think I just maybe have it honed up. And I realize the next one comes up, everything I just learned is totally out the window. Let's try it all over again,
Yes.
You have to do it every time you do a new vintage.
Yes.
You don't know what's going on until you get it all ready to go. And then you're like, oh, man. So
this past vintage, when we had so much rain, it really increased the potassium in the vineyard, in the soil, in the plants, in the grapes, more so than ever before. And so that's a new set of circumstances in the winery when your potassium is up. And we don't have to go into the weeds in that right now.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot about that this year, particularly.
Nice. So let's talk about the future.
Sure.
Okay. Now I know, and I'm just kind of giving it a little. I don't know if I'm a little secret. I should be giving out, but I noticed y'all had some little buildings by your stock tank over here.
Well, those buildings don't belong to us.
Oh.
we won't steal any thunder from our friend, but after the first of the year, at some point, you should expect some announcements about lodgings being available here. They'll be called Red River Escapes.
Okay.
And a friend of ours has taken that project on.
Okay.
And I don't want to reveal too much because it's a very special story.
We'll keep it a secret.
And it's not a secret because obviously they're visually right here on display. They're not completed yet, but that is definitely something we're very excited about for 2026.
Can't wait to hear about that.
Yes, you won't be disappointed.
I've never been disappointed out here.
Besides that, Will, as our success has grown, we have run out of space. So we are working with an architect to build a much larger production space along with a tasting room.
Nice.
So we're hoping by midsummer, our goal is by the end of June, have the production space open, and then after harvest, having the tasting room open. And then what we're sitting in will move next door. So where we make the wine will turn into our private tasting center.
Nice.
So where we can hold large groups. Right now we can host a group up to 12, but we look to be able to have a group of 25, 30 in the room. But there also will be retail space for somebody who just wants to walk in, have a glass, or buy a bottle. We'll also be able to accommodate that. So,
nice.
So growth is in the air, and we look to have that up. And then we're also just looking, even next month, we're looking to start to open up some new types of tastings to be able to continue the education.
Wow.
Krista, you want to talk through some of what you're planning?
I would love to. So your podcast will be where the first time we're really announcing what we've been describing as this Tempranillo experience.
Okay.
And it is a Texoma Tempranillo experience.
Oh.
All the estate grapes here.
Okay.
So as Scott mentioned earlier, I have been experimenting with American oak and French oak. I do have some Hungarian oak.
Okay.
But in 2023, we made Tempranillo 4 different ways.
Oh.
So we had some that stayed in stainless steel the whole time. We put some in a brand new American oak barrel. We put some in a brand new French oak barrel. And then after that period of time where we thought, the Americans had enough, it came out. And the French one has been in there longer and ready. The grain is a different discussion about why those timings were different. But we're going to be inviting people to come taste the 23 no oak, 23 French oak, 23 American oak, 23 50-50 American French, a 22 that's been aged and won a gold medal, And then the 24, it's coming out of bourbon barrel. So
Nice.
there's going to be 6 estate Tempranos that are all different, poured, and we'll walk everyone through that with some very Rioja-centric food. And then everyone, before they arrive, will note that there's a black blind tasting glass at their place. The pre-pour will have a wine that they'll taste that they visually can see, but the pre-pour will be a mystery, and it'll be a challenge to them to see if they can then go back and figure out of those wines they tasted what's in their blind glass.
You know, I'm just going to tell you right now. So this will probably come out sometime in January, probably like maybe the 3rd week in January.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it'll be after I come back from the Hill Country Wine Symposium, because I know once my mom hears about this, because she loves Tempranillo, she's going to probably want to do that. She'll drop everything, run over here to do that. And I want to do that.
Good.
Yeah, we'd
Just
love to
because
have
I
ya.
love Tempranillo, you
Yeah.
know?
We'll be announcing the 17th and 24th of January soon.
Okay.
And there'll be 2 sessions on that, Saturday the 17th and 2 sessions on Saturday the 24th. And they'll just be the first 4 sessions. And after we see how we do with those, we'll do another 4
Wow,
sessions,
okay.
probably February.
Then
Okay.
talk about the sensory class.
So I'm also, speaking of wine geek stuff, and we mentioned the aroma wheel before. For a lot of folks that have come through the tasting room that have asked questions about, I smell caramel, I smell bell pepper, I smell honeysuckle. You mentioned honeysuckle earlier. Just anything. We get a lot of questions like, how do you know what's in there? And I tell them it takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have devoured several sensory related books, not to mention my own notes over time smelling things. And as the winemaker, you're supposed to know what smells bad
Right.
and what smells good,
Right.
and be able to identify those smells.
Yep.
And so we're going to have 2 parts, sensory part 1, sensory part 2. Very unofficial, right? Because, you know, I am not an instructor or
Right.
anything like that. But it'll be my way to casually invite people to play around a little bit with what sensory might mean and where it's going to sit inside their mouth, why the nose is so important, and how people can have more fun examining and assessing their wines that they're enjoying or not enjoying, and
Right.
find out why.
Interesting. That'll be fun also.
Yes.
Huh. I'm on the criminal schedule.
And then probably the last is our partnership with the wino guy, Andy Gonzalez.
Yes.
We're looking to be having some food and wine pairings. So, you know, Andy is a chef, and having spotlighting him and putting together some wine mint or
Wine dinner with the wine.
Nice.
yeah, really excited.
You know, and that's what I'm going to have to say this is wine has really sparked my interest in cooking.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And, you know, and let's talk about Thanksgiving real quick. All right.
Yeah. Sure.
So instead of making our traditional Thanksgiving, I did carne quesada, Mexican beef stew, which actually just so happens used your Tempranillo in it.
You told me that.
Man, it came out really good.
Awesome.
I did some carnitas. I did smoked salsa. What else did I do? I did some green chili and lime cilantro rice.
Ooh, cool.
Or I sliced up the jalapenos really thin, so that way when they were cooking in the pan with the oil, they would dissolve, and that way they leave the flavor behind, but not as much as the heat. Man, everything came out really, really good.
Very cool.
And it just, I love taking my food, and pairing it with a wine from Texas.
Awesome.
And then having people try it.
I
It's-
bet it was wonderful.
Oh man, it was so good. I would have brought y'all some, but it was devoured.
That's all
Like
right.
literally,
I'm
it was gone in 2 days.
Wonderful.
I'll have to do it again. It takes from making the Mexican beef stew, it took me almost 8 hours to make it.
I'm not surprised.
Wow.
Yeah, because
It's worth it, though.
it is because I chopped the beef up all the night before, and I marinated it all night, and I threw it in the smoker at 6 a.m. and started
Wow.
smoking it at 250. I wanted it low and slow, but I wanted to just get enveloped with that heat, so it got really tough. And then I made the roux inside and put everything together and put the meat into it. And actually, that didn't take me 8 hours. The original version I did 8 hours because I had to do it in Instapot to get everything done on time by
Yep.
lunchtime. But it made it really good. It made it really good
Sounds
and tender.
like it.
But I would rather cook it slow in the cast iron pot than in the Instant Pot. But it is.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll have to make some and bring it up here.
And, the whole Come Over October campaign and the I think it was Come Over October, y'all, was the Texas version of that. It just emphasizes how it's not just about the wine.
Mm-hmm.
It's now, Will, about the food that you were so thoughtfully putting together a menu to prepare with wine, and the people you invited to enjoy you with the wine, and the time that you spent together with all of that together is really the big deal on wine.
Yeah.
It's not just
100%.
a bottle on a shelf that you're going to go pick up and just forget that you ever drank it.
Yep. Well, that brings up a great thing. You talk about your little events that you're doing here. I had a lot of people know that I did a little get together at my house. Well, one of the things I wanted to do was do a blind tasting of Texas wine versus the same varietal from Europe.
Oh,
super
cool.
fun.
So it was fun.
Recommend it.
So I did a Cab Franc, but I did a Cab Franc from the Hill Country because I didn't want nobody to taste this Cab Franc before. So I had to leave completely North Texas out of it. So I grabbed a Cab Franc out of North Texas, out of the Hill Country. And then I did a Picpoul Blanc also from the Hill Country. Well, come to find out, this is why I went back to say you can't find a single varietal Picpoul in the stores at all. They're all blended. I looked. In fact, actually, when I was talking to the people that worked at Specs and Total Wine and what was the other place I went to? I went to 3 different places, and Goody Goody. All 3 of them says, I've never heard of Picpoul Blanc. When they look it up, we found blends with Picpoul, but not a single varietal. I ended up finding a Albarino. I ended up going with. So we used an Albarino from somewhere else. I can't remember.
Spain? Portugal?
From Spain. But I'm trying to think who it was down in the Hill Country. But the great thing about it is actually the ones they had available to sell, James Suckling rated them.
Oh, good.
So the Cab Franc that I got was a 9.8. The Albarino was a 9.5. And out of the 10 people that were there, it was a split between what was Texas and what was not Texas.
That's great.
So it was fun doing that. And then while we were doing that, they didn't know a lot of that food was already paired with that wine as well. But it was fun doing that, and they all had a blast. And I want to do that more with people because you know who I am. I like to share, and I love to have people together and drink wine because wine is not meant to be hoarded; it's meant to be shared.
Right.
So, yeah.
Every bottle tells a story.
Every bottle tells a story. Every bottle tells a story. So, well, we're going to take a little small break. Is there anything else you want to talk about real quick? Do we need? Oh, you know what? Where can people find y'all? Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the important part.
RedRiverWines.com.
Okay.
We're on Facebook.
Okay.
And we're on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
I had someone ask me what my Insta handle was. And I was just like,
you had to stop and think, what was that?
I better get acquainted with my Insta handle. But it's at Red River Wines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
for those people who are more geographically centric, we're about an hour north of the Metroplex, hour north of Frisco, about in between Gainesville and Sherman, like dead center in between the two of them, about an hour north of Frisco.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're going to step away for just a quick second, stretch our legs, and I have picked a great topic for education today, and it's all about why location is important for your vineyard.
Cool.
So we're going to step away for just a second. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Hi, this is Eric, buyer of Old Vine, Texas, your premier Texas wine tasting room in DFW, featuring 100% Texas wineries from all over the state. We are located at 403 East Broad Street in Mansfield, Texas, inside of the Ancora Event Center. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie, pizza, plenty of wines by the glass, and live music. Our wine club brings you an extended taste of Texas and other great perks. You can visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter, check our open hours, and see special events and classes and more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Know Texas Vino. We're sitting out here at Red River Wines and Provisions. every time I say that, I always get it wrong, but I said it right and you didn't say anything. Right. I'm sitting out here with KK and Scott. We just had a really great conversation about from the time we talked to them back in 2023 to now and what's the future holding. But now we come to the segment for actually wine education. And I've kind of, over the last year, I kind of diversed off of my education a little bit. And I kind of missed that because I've had some people come up and say they missed my education on the show. So for this new year, we're going to try to with every effort, make sure education's on there and actually going to make a education schedule. So the first one we're going to talk about, and this is always the important part because if you don't have grapes, you don't have wine. And the first part here, and KK is actually the perfect person to talk about this, is why is choosing the right place to grow grapes important? Because if you can't have the right place, you can't grow great grapes.
That's true.
So why is it important?
Well, I'll refer to you to our first time at Grape Camp in 2015, where we met Dr. Ed Hellman from Texas Tech and A&M Extension. And he gave a presentation on establishing a new vineyard. And the first thing he said to the room was, you only get to choose your site once. Unless you already own it, you inherited it, or something of that effect where you're not going to have a choice.
Right.
And so take your time and do all your due diligence in checking the site. So I can't emphasize how important it is. And we have the proof here, having gone through it. And Scott did exhaustive research on the geological pages from the United States Geological Surveys.
Right.
And we had, we dug 12 soil samples here. And the lab at A&M can test all this stuff for you. And that's one piece of it. Okay. So that's your site selection, and then the water availability and it being good water. We can't say enough about how important that is. Too.
Yeah. I know for the water part, if your water's got a lot of salt in it, you can forget it. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to have to either import it in, which that gets kind of expensive, or you got to figure out how to treat it. And
that's hard too.
And that's hard also, because you may not get it treated properly.
Right.
So one year might be a little saltier than the next. So yeah, that's pretty important. So I know that from you telling me your stories about your growing the grapes out here and stuff and getting things going and you I'm trying to remember how all you were saying, because you're talking about 1 year your nutrients were way too much from the soil, and then the next year you said that nutrient was perfect, but the next one was too high.
Lots of depletion. There's a lot of ebb and flow. We have a very sandy site, so we are very well drained, but we also have very vigorous plants, and that's due to a rootstock selection as well. And not to get your listeners into the weeds, but the rootstock selection that your vinifera is grafted to is really important as well for your specific soil type.
Yep. And we can actually thank TV Munson for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a huge person that gets our thanks for different types of rootstocks and things here in globally, actually.
Yep.
But I think when people are selecting sites, they don't realize how complex it is because, first of all, you need to make sure that it will grow grapes very well. And there's a whole science into your site selection around being able to grow. But then you also need to be thinking about traffic and where can you get people and how they're going to get to your location. So there is the economic side, and then there's the agri side of making sure you got the right location. And very important to get both of those right. Because, if you're the dirt road on the end of a dirt road, at the end of a dirt road, you know what? You're not going to get the same traffic.
Right.
But vice versa, do you want to be off of a major highway, and when you're doing a tasting, you got semis going through your backyard? No, you don't want that either. So it's really important. There's a lot to site selection.
Yeah.
And as Krista said, you only can pick your site once.
Yep. And
to change your site is starting all over and hugely expensive.
Yes, it is. 100%. Because now once you've already put your infrastructure in, you have to start all over again.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of work.
Expensive.
Yep.
Expensive.
Well, I know you took some time and you curated some documents we have in front of us here.
Sure.
So talk about what you've got here so our listeners, and for the listeners who are actually wanting to do a vineyard, because I've talked to a lot of people who want to start a little vineyard, which, as we learned from Grayson, that they try to make take the romance out of grape growing.
That's right. Well, I would just direct everyone to the A&M AgriLife Extension Services.
Uh-huh.
That's viticulture specific. Mm-hmm. And that website is agrilifeextension.tamu.edu. And just go and scour that site, but you'll be able to get free downloads of things that are going to explain to you about how to test water, how to test soil, and also the elements that you're looking for as the positive results that can confirm you've made a good choice. And the people that work in the lab down there are amazing, as well as your local extension person for the different regions in Texas that are assigned as viticulture specialists. So for example, ours is Dr. Michael Cook.
Right.
And elsewhere in the state, I think there's 6 or 7 extension specialists that are wonderful to invite to look at a site to help you, even with placement for drainage, irrigation, planning, etc. They're just invaluable, awesome people.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about this?
One thing I do want people to realize when you're selecting a site, making sure that it drains water, because your soil, you can get the right rootstock to accommodate your soil. If it is, nutrients, you can add nutrients. But if your vines are sitting in water, there's nothing you can do to overcome that.
Right.
And making sure that there's a hill that the water is draining from your site is critical. One of our grape growers that we work with had an issue where they planted in a low area within their vineyard, and they had to rip up all the vines and replant them with different rootstock. Even they're struggling. Right. So, flat areas where the water doesn't drain, can you dig trenches to drain the water? That's something you need to think about. But that is really important. Each area that you're planting has to have good, proper drainage. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know that people always say, "Well, don't grapes need a lot of water?" Like, no, they don't need a lot of water. They need what. I heard some people say 6 to 7 gallons of water. I've heard some people say 4 to 5 gallons of water growing season. But I guess it depends on all the rootstock you're using too.
Yeah.
It depends on the rootstock. It depends on the weather.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of grape you're growing on top of that rootstock and what your goals are for the wine that you're producing from that.
Yeah, but
There's
lack of water, you can drill a well, you can irrigate. Lack of water, you can compensate for. And as you had just pointed out, grapes, they started in the Middle East it's dry as can be. So you can work around lack of water. Bad water, you can't work around. If you got bad water and you're going to irrigate, you're screwed. But too much water, that is something you can't overcome. And it's very difficult. So, lack of water, you can manage.
Awesome. Well, it's always great to talk to y'all. I love chatting with y'all. And as you and I were talking a while ago, we had to have a little timeline or a little map of what we're going to conversate with, because we see squirrels a lot.
We do. You're right.
But, I appreciate y'all letting me come back out here and we get to talk to y'all 2 years later after our first interview. And it's just awesome to see y'all have grown so much. And I still can't believe it's only been a year since we've been open.
Yeah.
This 1 year it's flown by so fast. But I've really enjoyed y'all's wine. I've enjoyed y'all's company. I've enjoyed chatting with y'all. I need to invent a teleporting machine so I can teleport up here so I'm not having to spend like half a day on the road. But I'm going to go ahead and hit our sponsors right quick. So obviously we made a comment about Texas Wine Lover a while ago. Great little app there to find Texas wines. You can find Red River Wines on there also. Come up here. You can find even Rancho Serrano that's right down the road that just opened up.
Yes.
You can find her. And I heard there was a couple new ones popping up pretty soon around here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't want to get that cat out of the bag yet.
Let that cat out of the bag.
But, then you got RK and 4R, and you got Blue Ostrich and Firelight, 555. You got a whole bunch of places you can go to, or you can go over to Salina and hit those up over there. Yeah. So great little app. You can find and I like to say maximize your wine drinking experience with this app.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And then my other sponsor is Old Vine, Texas, down in Mansfield. I love what Erica's doing. Have you been down there yet?
We haven't. We were in their September wine club.
Oh, you was?
I really think highly of it, Eric.
Eric and Emily does such a great job down there curating some what they can in their limited space.
Right.
Yeah. I've heard his plans for the next year and what they're trying to do, and they're trying to have a bigger spot, have more wine. And
Very
I'm like,
cool.
I'm okay with that. I can handle that, But he brings in the Hill Country wines where people who don't want to spend 4 hours on the road, they can go spend 45 minutes and go down to Mansfield and have some great Texas wines from there as well.
I would give a shout out to both of your sponsors. They've both been very good to us.
Oh, yeah. Both of them are amazing people. And then, just so y'all listeners know, I have a big announcement to make, but I can't talk about it yet. When this episode comes out, it may be out by then.
Awesome.
But it's something amazing. I had somebody reach out to me about doing something amazing.
Okay.
And
Good
so,
for you.
Look forward to the news.
We'll talk about that in a minute. So, all right. Well, as we're drawing an end to this show, we know I have to do wine quotes.
Yes.
We've been doing wine quotes now since we started this podcast, and it's between the education and wine quotes, we've got to have it every time. So these are the quotes that I've curated for this. Every Texas vineyard is a proof that great wines begins with belief. Such a great one. And then Texas wine isn't new, it's just finally being noticed.
All right.
I like that too.
Yes.
I found that one after the whole James Suckling visit. So,
Wonderful.
yeah. So, KK, Scott, I thank y'all again for having me on the show. It's been amazing. So, this is Will.
Okay.
Scott.
This is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.